Salutations, respected viewers. I'm George from Ireland, and yet again, just in case you think George from Ireland is never in Ireland, here I am on the old sod. So I'm in Limerick, and behind me is Mary Immaculate College, or MIC for short. So this was a convent until not so long ago, and it's now part of the University of Limerick. The main part of the University of Limerick is a few kilometres away. We're all metric in the Republic of Ireland, have been for about 15 years. So I say that rather than miles. Speaking of the taxi driver yesterday night, and he was saying obviously he grew up with imperial measurements, avoir du poids and so forth. Look at the statue of the Blessed Virgin above. She surmounts the main door, well, way above it on the roof. There we are, 1898. Which order of nuns was this? I can't remember. Was it Redemptorists? There was a Redemptorist church and Redemptorist priests around here. So Limerick is the fourth biggest city in Ireland. It's not very big. It's got about 80,000 in the city proper. The metropolitan area is rather larger than that. Oh goodness. So Limerick, it's from the fuck, this microphone's come off. Limerick is derived from these Irish language words meaning barren land, although the land is not very barren. The land is not very barren, Luimnach, as in barren land. So we're in the province of Munster. So Ireland's 4 provinces. This is the southern one, and it's 32 counties. The Republic is 26 counties. There are another 6 counties in the wee north. So I am an old boy of MIC. Because I did a master's degree in linguistics here, and I've never set foot in the place till now. I've not actually even been into any of the buildings. I just did it all online, right? So as an alumnus, perhaps I could claim some privilege to go into my alma mater. But my mother, well, she nurtured me quite a lot. My educational mother, that is, not my biological one, I regret to say. So, yeah, we've had this massive expansion of tertiary education in the Republic of Ireland. We've got one of the highest participation rates in third level education on the planet. Over 50% of young people going on to third level education. But that's actually nothing to boast of, but that's hugely wasteful. There are many people who are incapable of benefiting from it. They just simply lack the aptitude and the will. Now, we have clever and hard-working students. We always did. And so we had it right perhaps in the early 90s, but we've just ludicrously overexpanded it as though that's the only proper end to schooling, and then you can't get any kind of a white-collar job without a degree, and we just give out degrees too easily and waste huge amounts of time and money. But the United Kingdom, most of the Western world, has followed suit. John Henry Newman Centre, now obviously he's a Catholic cardinal, an Anglican, a leading figure in the Oxford movement. That's in Oxford University in the 1830s, 1840s. Anglicans who became Anglo-Catholics to try to revive Catholic traditions within the Church of England, the veneration of saints, addressing priests as father, sacraments, even if not 7 of them, such as confession, bringing back orders of priests, monks and nuns, believing in transubstantiation, or sometimes just simply transsignification, but they stopped short of believing that the Pope was the head of their church. They still believed it was Queen Victoria, but then in Tract 90, well, they changed their minds about that. The Oxford movement, also known as the Tractarians, they're publishing these tracts, i.e. pamphlets, about their beliefs, until John Henry Newman took the final logical step. He lived the life of a Benedictine monk just outside Oxford for a couple of years, and he crossed the Tiber. He became a Roman Catholic, and he led some of his flock to do likewise. Remember, there was a lot of anti-Catholicism in Great Britain at the time. I mean, into the early 20th century it was like that. You won't find it anywhere in Great Britain outside of Ibrox. So anyway, then a Catholic university was set up here in Ireland. Obviously, in 1846 we'd had the Queen's Colleges at Dublin, Galway, Belfast and Cork, one for each province. Then later there was a Catholic university in Dublin, which then became the Royal University of Ireland, and finally became UCD, University College Dublin. Obviously the National University of Ireland, as it was, with various colleges, one at Cork, one at Galway, one at Dublin, but not at Belfast. That's the Queen's University of Belfast. So the NUI includes several universities, UCC, UCD, UCG, and I can't remember what else. It doesn't include the University of Limerick. So we've got several universities. So in a sense, the National University of Ireland has several campuses, but they're hundreds of kilometres apart. So that's the John Henry Newman building I was showing you behind, which is a crucial part of Mary Immaculate College. Mary Immaculate College itself being part of the University of Limerick. But the major campus of the University of Limerick is not here, which is a modern purpose-built building. So anyway, there were nuns here in the 1900s. so children were looked after here. They were orphans, and these were born to unwed mothers. So they were, as they were unnaturally sodomized, the mothers were pressurized into giving them away, saying that your child would be derided, they'd be cruelly mocked as a bastard, whether a boy or a girl. And so we will make sure that your child is adopted by a wealthy Catholic family in the United States. And that occasionally happened. Obviously, abortion was illegal, or still was illegal till last year, and indeed contraception was illegal in most forms until the 1970s, and then it's prescribed to married couples and blah blah blah. Only by the 90s was it just freely available. And I remember it was Charlie Hall. He said he was against allowing contraception for the reasons of health and morals, just in case AIDS would make you, you're more likely to get AIDS using a condom than not. Are you out of your mind? And there he was committing adultery with Teresa Keane. Now, not that bothers me one whit, that he was tupping the judge's wife, but he should not then be moralising and depriving other people of their liberty. So Mary Immaculate College, and this bit here behind about to show you, behind the railings, this is where the orphans were. And I was just speaking to an old nun, helping her reverse her car. It was the easiest place to reverse in the world. Even I could have reversed there. But she said that the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared here to the children during the Second World War. About 40 children saw her. But I thought they were endlessly indoctrinated about the Blessed Virgin. And her image was seared into their consciousnesses. And so you'd have a very good idea of like always talking about it, just dinned into you, and you desperately want to see her. That'd be a sign of divine favour. You have got so little love or joy in your life to think that the mother of all, the queen of clergy, loved you and appeared to you, didn't say anything, just smiled softly. And so they told the clergy, and they needed to be exalted for having said that. So yeah, they said it, the more suggestible ones, the more imaginative ones, and then the other ones just bullied into towing the party line. What else about that? I mean, the thing is, the Blessed Virgin only appears in areas of intense mariolatry. I suppose that's what you call faith. What would really impress me if the Blessed Virgin Mary appeared in Mecca, when nobody had any idea what she looks like, and when they were not brought up to think that she's a wonderful thing. Here in Ireland, we drunk into our mother's the idea that the Blessed Virgin was the female idol. She was the model to aspire to. What kind of role model is that? She had the Immaculate Conception. She brought forth a sinless child without having to undergo the indignity and the immorality of concupiscence. No intercourse, because that would be iniquitous and you mustn't derive pleasure therefrom. So there's such as St. Thomas Aquinas outside the MIC building with a quotation from him in Irish, Latin, and unfortunately even English. I can't abide these Sassanach, can you? They have no business here. So the church, there were the Sisters of Mercy, was this convent. Anyway, my mother recalls, knowing about the children going in here and the women in the Magdalen home. They'd given birth outside of marriage, and they were shamed. They were thought to be dirty and disgusting. So you filthy slut. Obviously, the men who'd inseminated them, well, they weren't held to such account. But she was told that these women, they were racked by their conscience. They felt terribly bad about the wicked thing they'd done, which was unspecified, and therefore they were penitents. They were doing their penance to make up for their sinfulness. I can't think what else they were doing. They were paying it off, having to wash things constantly, and maybe that was symbolic as well, to sort of wash away their sin. So cleanse me of my iniquity and so forth. And doing unpaid work, laundry work, because most people didn't have washing machines back then, washing bedsheets as well as clothes for years and chanting prayers to numb their minds, and finally released, often abused, beaten up, sometimes sexually abused, sometimes by Sapphic nuns. And if they ran away, the guards would catch them, bring them back. The state and church were hand in glove, and they were made wards of the church. The system was only finally phased out in the 1980s, and the last modern home closed its doors in 1996. It started in some form in the early 19th century. The Church of Ireland did it as well as the Catholic Church, but on a much smaller scale. And it was part of the Victorian morality. We'd obviously always had people who were born on the wrong side of the blanket, but we became particularly puritanical in the 19th century. The other thing is, obviously, it's not a good thing for society that children are not provided for. So what is to be done with them? These days they're killed, of course. and there were no benefits, and people knew nothing about contraception. That couldn't be taught. That was thought to be dirty, encouraging immorality, and even married women who had easily a dozen children were like my great-grandmother. Hard enough if you're in a middle-class family. What on earth is it like if you're impecunious, if your man has abandoned you and you are disgraced? Anyway, so this is O'Connell Avenue, and I always used to come that direction from Cork, and I thought this was the main road into Limerick. Well, maybe it was if we're going past my relative's house. O'Connell Avenue turning into O'Connell Street down there, named in honour of the liberator Daniel O'Connell. So perhaps that's enough about Mary Immaculate College and the nuns here. Not sure exactly when Mary Immaculate College was an education institution to some extent since the 1970s, but in its current form related to the University of Limerick, I'm not quite sure. I noticed W.J. South's has closed down there. I said Willie South, Sean South's uncle, ran that pub for many years. I don't know when he died. I mean, Sean South was born in 1930, something like that. So his uncle probably about 1900. Died in the 70s, I would guess. All right, I'll switch it off now. That's enough from MIC.